Hey, my name is Anthony,
And I'm TJ.
and this is Stick of the Kayfabe, episode 2. Over this podcast, we're going to be going over Smackdown, which just recently happened, and also some Trouble in Paradise. CM Punk and Hot Waters, or what's going on? First things first, let's go to SmackDown. Obviously, we're 2 weeks away from going to Clash of the Castle, with the main event being Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. Starting it off, it was Ronda Rousey coming out demanding she be reinstated. Uh, Obviously, she got arrested, whatever. Honestly, if it was up to me, I'd give it about a 2.5 out of 5 stars. It wasn't really entertaining. I mean, they kept the story going. Uh, Not too much to push the story forward. We don't know where this is gonna go. Is she gonna attack at Clash of the Castle? What's gonna go on next week? How does her storyline line up? You have anything to add on, TJ, at all to that, or?
Unfortunately, I have not watched SmackDown yet. I fell asleep. Took a nap by accident. Also, here where I'm at, SmackDown doesn't come on until 11 for me, so I'll be waiting for that to kind of recap what's going on. But for me, not really a fan of Ronda Rousey as a wrestler. Um, I think ever since I didn't really like her to begin with when she first debuted. I think like she's overpowered. Um, like in my mind, like she's gonna win every fight unless there's like some kind of cheating. Also, I don't like her promos, her segments. I don't like the fact that she talked crap about the wrestling business and wrestling fans. So yeah, I'm not a fan.
All right. So since you really didn't follow up on SmackDown, I know that's kind of more of my realm. I'm just going to go throughout the whole series and just rate it. Obviously, I gave that one 2.5 stars out of 5. Just it really doesn't add too much to the storyline, I don't think. And it's just Ronda's. She needs a mouthpiece for her. It's getting to the point where her words are being cringe or not really entertaining. And it's just not for me. All right, so now next one is going to be the women's tag match for the women's tag team tournament. I'm gonna give it about a 2 star rating. A lot of botches, a lot of just it wasn't fluidity in the match like I liked it would like it to be.
How do you
Obvious
describe a botch?
Botch is where they're like okay, Natalia it was towards the end of the match. It was Natalia and one of the other girls from Toxic Attraction. She went to go move them and didn't realize there was another person at the end of the side to hit. You know, in a typical like tag match.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where they hit the heel or go to the other heel at the turnbuckle to
Oh
go back.
yeah,
Yeah, so it's just like, oh, I messed up. There's a lot of stuff like that happened where they didn't know where their opponent was at. So there wasn't much
chemistry.
good chemistry in there. Obviously, with Toxic Attraction being an NXT team and Natalia and I believe it was, I can't remember her name. MMA girl. Let's just say MMA. Usually I should know it, but I can't remember exactly her name.
What? Who won the
Uh,
match?
It was Toxic Attraction from NXT. They moved up because Natalia and the other girl, sorry, I don't remember her name. Uh, they were kind of like a mixed match team, just somebody to
Oh,
put in there as a filler. But Toxic Attraction being a more of an NXT focal point, it makes sense to bring them up. They're kind of been leading the women's division down in NXT, so to help elevate them to a higher level, it makes sense. Um, so I give that about a 2 out of 5 stars.
okay.
Then we're gonna go towards, I believe it was the Fatal Five Way for the number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship. I'm gonna give that a 3.5, 4 stars. It was great match quality. The person who I think that was supposed to win it was Sami Zayn didn't win it. I was actually really surprised on that. Wound up being Sheamus, which it does kind of make sense
Because it's
that
the
it is.
clash at the
Yeah,
castle.
it's a UK type of event, So it makes sense for him to win, to have a part in that pay-per-view.
What do you think about them bringing back a European Championship for the Clash at the Castle? They should.
I think that would be a great idea. There's a lot of European wrestlers who would fill that spot. But then again, compared to how it was in the 90s or early 2000s, the European Championship, there was only maybe one or two European-led superstars. But now with the WWE Universe being such more diverse in their wrestlers, it doesn't really make sense to have it now. You have the U.S. belt, the IC belt. We have so many titles. We don't want to oversaturate. Yeah, 24/7. We have so much titles. It's starting to lessen the importance of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's gonna. Same thing with AEW is happening. They're adding more and more and more and more and more titles. It's like not everybody has a title. You know what I mean? It's just that it doesn't make sense to add another one. Really like the ending. With Sheamus winning. Obviously, I really was hoping for Sammy, but whatever happened there. I don't know.
More sense for Sheamus to win.
But it does make more sense for Sheamus to go against Gunther at Clash at the Castle.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
You know, both European-led, German, Irish. You know,
I thought isn't he Austrian?
I don't know. I think they have him as German.
Okay. We're not going to get into that.
Yeah,
not the point. They're both European.
So after that, it went into Liv Morgan versus, I believe it was Liv Morgan versus Shotzi. I mean, with 1.5, it wasn't very entertaining. It was kind of a short to the point type match just to make Liv look strong. Then Shayna Baszler came in afterwards and, wrecked shop on her. But I would give it about a 1.5. It furthers the plot with Shayna and Liv Morgan, but really not too much.
Yeah, I think Shotzi needs to change her name.
I think she needs to go back to NXT.
She needs to
especially what happened.
Because it sounds like a dog's name.
Yeah.
It's like, Shotzi, come here, Shotzi.
Yeah.
It's a weird name. Is that her real name? Hold on. Let me make sure I'm not making fun of someone's actual name.
Who cares? Nobody cares. But we'll back to that one.
I don't want to get canceled on the first day.
Oh, you're fine. We're going to go towards the main event, which is the pay-per-view, face-to-face, Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre. It was a good, get everything pumped up, get everybody excited about Clash of the Castle. I do predict that there is going to be a title change at Clash of the Castle, just due to the fact that it's the first time in the UK in a pay-per-view in 30 years. So it's kind of a...
91? 92?
It's been, you got 2001, 2011. Yeah, 30 years. So 92.
Then I'm 40. I'm 40 years old.
Oh no! How old are you? You're 30.
Yeah, I'm 31.
Yeah.
So
it's 30 years.
It happened in 92.
Yes.
2001.
No, it happened in 91 or 92. It's been 92, I think.
Okay.
It's been 30.
I missed. I thought you were talking. 2001, 2011,
no.
And I was like, "What the heck are you talking about, man?"
No, you're good. You're good. So I think that if we want to, it's going to be a huge event where they're at. My expectations is there's probably going to be a title change. I don't think they should do both belts. I think they should split it so Raw has the title and SmackDown has the title. Because once you have both belts on it, it's just kind of, oversaturates it or doesn't give enough exposure. You know what I mean? But
for
it is what it is.
The main title?
Yeah.
No, I think you should only have one belt, and everybody's chasing that. Everybody's chasing that one belt.
Okay, the top guy in the company.
Because you're just when you have two belts, it's almost like, if I don't win here, then I can just go over there and win, and then But if someone's chasing, it's like back in the 70s, they had a bunch of titles, right? And the territories. But they had one main title that was like the dog of the title. It was I think it was the NWA title.
Yeah.
Everybody was chasing that title.
Yeah.
And that one went all around the world. So if everybody's just chasing that one title, I feel like it means more than just.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so since we are done with SmackDown, let's get into the real,
Well, we
meat
could
of the.
recap AEW real quick and get into that.
Okay, I'll let you do the recap.
So, okay, so AEW starts out. CM Punk comes out, calls out Hangman Adam Page, says he's coward bleep. Then John Moxley comes out. In the promo, CM Punk says he's in a group where he's the third best member, alluding to the Shield. Then he calls out Eddie Kingston, that his friend, John Moxley's friend Eddie Kingston. He's even the best Eddie that he's fought. There's two. So if you're confused, Eddie Edwards and Eddie Guerrero are the two people that are named Eddie that he fought. And then, of course, Kofi Kingston as the best Kingston he's ever fought. And then he says John isn't even the first John that I fought in Chicago to win a title, and he's not even the best. We get in, there's a scrum, they're fighting, they're throwing punches. I get this segment. Dude, it was a good segment. I don't know how many stars. I'm not going to rank it by stars, but I really thought it was a good segment. Next up was Daniel Garcia versus Bryan Danielson. I keep messing that up sometimes. 2 out of 3 falls. The first fall went to Daniel Garcia, who put Bryan Danielson to sleep. And then I can't remember the finish, but I think Bryan Danielson tapped out Daniel Garcia. And I really liked that match. It was a really good match. I was in and out of it because I was busy with other stuff, but from what I saw, it was a really good match. Also, after that, so I think we should go to one of the most important parts. CM Punk and John Moxley are back at it, like after the break, and they're like fighting at ringside. Again, they like come out and they're trying to fight. So we get a title match next week, but we're gonna go more into that after I do AEW. So I'm just gonna go to the main event. The main event was, of course, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, who finally made a return, which a lot of fans are happy about, including my buddy, who will be on the show eventually. And then against who was it? Rouge, Andrade, and who was the last guy? I forgot the last guy, but a little bit of context. I asked my friend because I was getting irritated because the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega were in the ring too long, and then like whenever they got back out, the bad guys came in to beat up on the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and all that, and the Young Bucks were like, pointing to the ref, trying to tell him. But I was just like, what are they doing? They were just in the ring for like over a minute, and now they're complaining because they're doing it. What my friend said is that the ref that is in charge of their matches, Rick Knox, gives more leeway to the Young Bucks. So it is what it is. But other than that, it was cool to see Kenny Omega. He does have a lot of time to get back into fighting shape. I've changed my opinion on them a little bit, on Omega and the Young Bucks a little bit, since my friend kind of explained things to me. I get what they're doing. Not really a huge fan of them, but they're okay. I'm not gonna bash them. So that was AEW. So me, I want to get into the meat of the matter, the reason why we decided to do a Friday show, and we're gonna let my boy take it away.
All right. So there's been a little bit of trouble in paradise and AEW. There's some rumors, some speculation that CM Punk's having a little backstage heat. This is what he said yesterday against Adam Hangman Page. Calling cowboy shit. You know what I mean?
And then
And
coward.
yeah, coward shit instead of cowboy shit is coward shit. Obviously, Adam wasn't going to come out. So there's been rumors or speculation that was all a shoot, 100% a shoot. It wasn't planned, wasn't anything. It was allegedly a receipt for what Adam Page said towards CM Punk earlier this year. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not in the AEW locker room, but there is some trouble in paradise,
There's also the
supposedly.
rumor. I think Fightful Select was the first person to comment on this. To break this rumor, I think at the end of the day, this is all dirt sheet stuff. This is all stuff that's speculation, and it's like stuff that's thrown around, and we don't know for sure. But CM Punk was gonna walk out if he lost to Hangman.
Mm-hmm.
This is where me and my brother differ because I'm gonna defend my boy wholeheartedly, and he's kind of on the other side of it. I don't know for sure.
So here's my thing. So behind the scenes, behind this, before we started the podcast, one of the main things, my all-time favorite wrestler is Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid. He thinks that Shawn Michaels is a little overrated for him being a piece of shit back in the day because he wouldn't put over, Bret Hart, whatever. And he says, oh, he would never put over anybody. It's always about me, 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 me. But when it comes to CM Punk, I see the same thing. He won't, lose to Adam Hangman Page. He says, I will leave the company. I will quit the company. The same thing that he accuses of Shawn Michaels, which is fine. I agree. But the thing is, though, you got to be consistent with it. If you're going to say he's doing one thing bad with this way, and praise another man to doing the same thing, you got to be a little bit more consistent in your story. But here's the fact of the matter is, Eddie Kingston, Jon Moxley, MJF, everybody's saying the same thing. He's a piece of shit who's in for himself. And the trail follows. You know what I mean? When there's smoke, there's fire. I kind of agree with it. CM Punk only cares about himself when he doesn't get his way. The same thing that, he was saying, oh, WWE was accusing of him. Only business in it for himself. It's been what year? 11 years? You can't change a person, you know what I mean? So, it's starting to, obviously, we either think this is a work, it could be real life. Obviously, there's been some speculation about what happened. He was threatening not to even show up to last night. Obviously, we're planning ahead towards All Out, see what happens at All Out. But obviously, it got a little expedited to next week. So, I see this going either two ways. It's going to be a 100% match that leads up to a Hangman Adam Page versus All Out, or my baby boy MJF's going to come back at the end of it.
Yeah, I honestly am on the other side of that. I think this is all a plot. This is all a plot to get back at my boy CM Punk. He does have a bit of a past of being kind of hard-headed and stuff. At the same time, though, he has made other talents look better. Look what he did for MJF in that whole feud. Yeah, MJF said all this stuff. Yeah, you're gonna leave, but at the same time, look how we're talking about MJF more so now than we were a year ago. So obviously, CM Punk has a past, but at the same time, he has put MJF over in that first match, and you can obviously see MJF saying something to CM Punk on the floor. A lot of wrestlers do like CM Punk. FTR is one of them. Those two love CM Punk. Before Powerhouse Hobbs and CM Punk had their match, CM Punk went up to him and told him, "This is for your mom. There's no one out there except me, you, and your mom." So CM Punk does have a history, yes, of not burying people, but getting what he wants and getting angry about it if he doesn't. But now he is talking to the younger talent and trying to help them. To be honest, it could be, to me, this is what's going to happen. And it's all speculation at this point. I think this is all just fabricated bull crap to try and get CM Punk to go heel. CM Punk going heel would be the easiest thing. Who do they have as a heel right now? Like, They don't Jericho and all them. That's all crap. It's it's garbage right now. Um, who do you have? MJF. MJF is gonna come back as a babyface. I guarantee you he's gonna come back as a babyface. Adam Page, not heel. They're not gonna turn Kenny Omega heel. Kenny Omega's back. He's been gone for 9 months.
Yeah, it's been a while.
John Moxley just got out of rehab, and you got the feel good story of the year. Regardless of what I think about John Moxley's wrestling, his story with alcoholism is a testament to people. You know, it can help people. So the only other person I think is CM Punk. Turning him heel would be the easiest thing to do. What I would do is tell everybody, yeah, I came back for the money. I never gave a crap about any of you. Or even then, he cannot show up next week, and then people would boo. People would boo him if he did not show up next week.
Mm-hmm.
They would boo him if he didn't show up for the title match, and then on Sunday shows up. But at the same time, the other way I could see this going is that we're setting up for the pay-per-view. John Moxley versus CM Punk could end in a draw or a no contest.
But yeah, my thing is if they're gonna go with a no contest, it's almost cheap. You know what I mean? It happened
all the time back then, in the 70s and 80s. It happened all the time, because when you so you have the match. It's a no contest. You're gonna sell more tickets for your weekly show is just a weekly show. You know, yes, ratings matter. Ratings matter. You want ratings. What's going to get ratings? People are going to be pissed off if it goes no contest, right? Or a draw. So then they're going to come back for the big show, the one that matters, and they're going to have a real match. I think that's the way it's going to go. That's the way I would book it. The fans will boo. They're going to boo, but at the same time, you're going to sell more.
Yeah.
That's how
if you want to, I was thinking about this all day after we talked. If you want to make CM Punk the biggest heel, the biggest ass, or whatever you want to call it, obviously you want to have him go your route. But I think if you really want people to just be pissed off, it's just to have Tony Khan be his manager almost in a way. It's almost like
his lapdog.
His lapdog, kind of like how Rock and Vince McMahon was. You know what I mean? I feel like it.
But Tony Khan isn't the actor that Vince McMahon is.
Yeah.
If you've ever heard Tony Khan speak, he's not very, very charismatic. So in a way, what I would do, this is the way I would do it. I would, if you want to go that route, CM Punk says, yeah, I have the boss in my back pocket, and there is nothing anybody in that locker room could do about it.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
I call the shots, not Tony Khan. And everybody would boo the crap out of him. I wouldn't boo because that's my guy. But fans would boo and be like, I have Tony Khan in my back pocket. And yes, I was gonna leave if I had to drop the belt to Hangman. Yes, I wasn't gonna show up because this is my company. I make the most money, I draw the most money, and there's not a damn thing you could do about it.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with that on that point. Is if you want, because as of right now, we both agree CM Punk is the top draw in that company.
Yeah.
Nobody can.
Regardless of ratings, merch sales, pay-per-view sales. The last pay-per-views with CM Punk have topped all the other pay-per-views. Pay-per-views is what matters. Rating TV is going downhill, like across the board. People are not buying cable anymore because it's expensive. So what? How do you rate whether the wrestling business is doing well? Ticket sales, all this other stuff. There's a reason why, like TV is. You have to agree. TV eventually, cable's gonna go away.
Yeah, everything now is streaming. Everything's more Twitter. You can't really accumulate Twitter. You can't tweets or whatever, retweets or whatever you want. Everything's more, social based now. You can't really document that. So one of the best things is if you were to turn CM Punk heel, say if they're going to do CM Punk, Adam Page, you turn CM Punk heel, it's only going to raise Adam Page up to a higher level.
Yeah, because you're chasing you will be chasing the biggest bad guy. If he comes out and he does exactly what I said to do, that he's gonna do, you are literally making him the biggest heel in the company, because nobody likes someone who's power hungry. Nobody likes someone who's just in it for the money. And you have all these guys that are wrestlers, and you have all these wrestling fans that love CM Punk. How are you gonna get him to? How are you gonna get him to go heel? You have to basically tell the fans not just to screw off, because that's easy. That's cheap heat to me. Oh, you go to a city and you tell them, oh, this is a dump. Cheap heat. Yes, it gets a pop. But in order to just sustain that and get yourself over as a heel, in my opinion, you have to literally do something so dastardly that there's no going back. Especially in this day and age. And I think that's the way to go, is to be like, I have the boss in my back pocket. I call the shots. I'm running the show. I'm the dollars and cents. I make the most money. All you fans, I never cared about coming back for you guys. I did it all for the freaking money. I don't care. I don't care about you. And yes, I did leave WWE because I was unhappy. Just do everything you can to make sure you make yourself the biggest bad guy in the company and all of wrestling.
One of the things is to even pull back from the 2011 pipe bomb promo is he says, "I'm just a spoke on the wheel just keeps on turning. You guys are still gonna buy the merchandise." He even throw that in your guys' face. As much as you guys wanted me to come back, you guys are still buying into the product, still buying merchandise, regardless if I was there or not. Mm-hmm. Just to basically flip the switch on them. And I mean, I totally agree. It's at a point where AEW needs a spark for All Out with everything that's going on in WWE with Triple H. Yeah. Obviously, it's not really a war like WCW, WWE.
No. And there should never be a war. I don't think there should ever be a war between AEW and WWE, because what happened to WWE after they bought out WCW? Their product started to decline because you don't have that other company pushing you to your limit. Yeah. So in order for wrestling to succeed, I really think there has to be multiple outlets, in my opinion. Just having one major company that everybody watches is not good for wrestling.
No, it's not. Because basically what puts a monopoly on the market, they're the only person, only company on there.
Look what happened to Madden.
And so it's, with everything that's going on in WWE and AEW, regardless of who you like, it's actually a very healthy business right now. Because now there's free agency. Some people like this way, some people like this way.
I like both.
Here's the thing, too. With Tony Khan, right now, even with CM Punk going in, there's the lowest ratings they've had in a while. Even with CM Punk.
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. They need a spark behind their pay-per-view before All Out. They need something to generate buzz. That's why it was kind of important to move CM Punk and versus Jon Moxley the next week, because now we have people tuned in. What's going to happen?
That's why all these things are coming out, too, is because you have all this stuff is getting people talking. A lot of people on the internet are talking. I'm talking. My brother is talking. Yeah. He doesn't talk about AEW that much.
No. Yeah.
And I'm interested. I'm also interested with MJF. Is MJF going to come back at All Out? There are rumors that his return is imminent. It's funny how all this bad stuff about CM Punk is coming out right on the cusp of All Out, right on the cusp, and now they're saying, oh, MJF's going to come back. Flip the script. CM Punk was the good guy in the first 2 fights. Flip it. Let MJF show people that he can be a good guy. Because that guy's going to be a star. He's going to be a star. And if he could show that he can be a good guy, a hero, and CM Punk is the ultimate bad guy, dude, you have ratings right there. Have them chase. The best part about wrestling is when the good guy is chasing after the biggest bad guy. That's what draws money to me. Like, look at Brock versus Roman. You have the good guy. Look at all these wrestlers. They're all chasing Roman Reigns, who's a big bad guy. Look at who else? If you go back, The Rock was the biggest bad guy. You had Hogan versus Andre, a big bad guy. You have all these bad guys. You have Flair, who was the biggest bad guy in the 80s to me.
Yeah.
You had Dusty chasing the title. All these people were chasing the title, and they were all chasing a big bad guy. That's the way you got to do it. I think that's the way.
And sorry to cut you off. And another thing is that's been pretty consistent since CM Punk has been there. It's always been AEW versus WWE. Not really the companies, but the ex WWE guys coming into AEW and having MJF actually being the bad guy to flip it, and CM Punk being the ex WWE guy. It's homegrown versus
someone who came back after 7 years. That would be that would be really smart if you have CM Punk as an ex WWE guy fighting, and MJF is carrying the torch for AEW. Like, screw all these WWE guys. They're nothing. You know, I've been here since day one, and these guys come over here and think they could run the company into the ground. No, I'm gonna stop it. Something like that. Not in those lines, because that's bad dialogue. I think that's terrible dialogue. I'm pretty sure he could do a better thing.
Oh yeah, better. That's his job, not ours. So, but the thing is too is everything's been kind of the same. I'm not defending the AEW World Title. I'm defending AEW from you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing.
And that's what Adam Page said to CM Punk. I'm defending it. So that's where the receipt supposedly comes in. So maybe because I didn't know that Adam Page is the number one contender after if John Moxley loses or CM Punk. But he is the guy. So to turn CM Punk heel, Bryan Danielson was the biggest heel. Remember that? And then they put him in Blackpool Combat Club and completely ruined him. Yeah. Like, we don't talk about Bryan Danielson because he's like floating in the back with a stable that doesn't really mean anything to me. It might mean something to someone else, but at the same time, he doesn't mean as much as he did. CM Punk as the biggest bad guy. We need a bad guy. We need someone who's evil. We wanted to see Luke Skywalker kill the Emperor, right?
Yeah.
So, keep going.
Yeah, another thing is, too, is like MJF, I mean, at some point, the whole, the vicinities, the cutscene, and whatever it being real, it's been awesome. I feel like if he were to come back, he needs something to flip it. And obviously, right now, with CM Punk being who he is, holding the kind of, he's not holding the title hostage, but he's almost feeling like backstage he's holding AEW hostage. Mm-hmm. So to have a young, homegrown 23, 24-year-old guy
25.
come in and stand up to CM Punk. I'm the only one who's able to stand up because I don't give a fuck about you. I don't give a fuck if I have a job here or not. So the thing is, I'm going to defend AEW against you. I'm not doing it for anybody in the back. I'm doing it for me because it's my company. I built this company on my back. And that's what I kind of agree with you on that one.
Mm-hmm.
We're definitely going to have to preview AEW next week and obviously All Out. But what dictates the future of AEW, because as of right now, the really only interesting thing, they have the trios titles. They have the TBS TNT title.
None of that makes sense.
But none of them mean anything. They're all stale. Tony Khan has ruined everybody who's jumped ship. The whole, we have a new debut. It's all stale now. The only thing they have to do right is to do right with the storyline. If they fumble the bag with this, you might as well kiss their company goodbye in a year or two.
Or
I guarantee you that.
I'd kiss Tony Khan. He probably would kiss that goodbye.
Yeah, either he's going to have to sell the company to somebody else and let somebody else run it, or that AEW is going down the drain. Because as of right now, even though with CM Punk coming back, ratings are dipping. Obviously, it's very early. If they don't make a big splash soon, I mean, it's any hope to get on WWE level is going to go down. That's my theory. But anything else from you, boy?
Well,
anything else you want to talk about?
Well, we had a discussion today.
Mm-hmm.
Homeboy over here thinks the Montreal Screw job was a work, and I over here think it's completely. It was factual. It actually happened, and there was a lot of repercussions to it.
So here's my thing with the whole Montreal Screw job. You cannot tell me that it was It's just a shoot. It just happened. They had a plan behind all the scenes. Bret Hart was on his way out. Like you said, Vince McMahon says, "Hey, go to WCW, make more money. Our ratings were dipping. Whatever Vince McMahon wanted, or Bret, he was always there to back up Vince McMahon. He's even now with him quitting or retiring. He says it's quite sad that he's not going to be there anymore. Also with that, and if it was me with Owen Hart, with him passing, with WWE not being, taking extra precautions, just winging it. If it was you, James, or my little brother, or whatever, if they died by my companies being negligent, I'm sorry, I'm not having anything to do with that company. But Bret Hart was obviously helping them out along the way, WWE. So you're telling me, with nothing to lose, that going to WCW, that hey, do me one last favor. You know what I mean? All you have to do, here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna do this, this, this. I'm gonna have the ref ring the bell. Even you're gonna spit. I'm gonna let you spit on my face. I'm gonna let you punch me, and I'm not gonna do anything damn about it. And it benefits Bret, it benefits Shawn, it benefits WWE and WCW, because now WCW has the biggest thing.
Yeah. Regardless of how they did it, how they failed Bret Hart, they still had a hot wrestler.
They had a hot commodity. So you're gonna tell me that he's just gonna let things happen? Because I guarantee once obviously I wasn't born then, but he's gonna go to WCW, hot. WWE, they're gonna go hot, and leading into the Attitude Era. So, and if you ask Kevin Nash, the New Age Outlaws, they ask him about it. Is it a work or was it a shoot? They'll tell you it's 100% a work. Obviously, they never talked to Shawn about it or whatever. Or they guarantee, allegedly, but I guarantee you it's a work. I promise you, with Vince McMahon being the man of all men or whatever, 100% honcho, he wouldn't let that happen. I guarantee you. To have him right on national television, WCW. Vince McMahon would never allow that to happen. I guarantee you.
But Vince McMahon was up front when that happened. So how is he going to tell them to cut the camera?
Because, trust me. I guarantee you. He has...
Honestly, for as much as Bret Hart respects the wrestling business, he wouldn't break the code that you're not supposed to talk about things behind the scenes, right? Why in the heck did he go behind... He went on CNN and basically exposed the business because he was so pissed off.
I mean, at that point, you got to look at it this way, too. He was probably pissed off about Goldberg, about giving him that concussion.
No, this was way before Goldberg, because Goldberg gave him a concussion in 2001, I think.
Okay.
So this is right after. He went on CNN and told them what happened exactly. If you do that, you're basically exposing the wrestling business. And Bret Hart knows you're not supposed to expose the wrestling business. But he had to have been so mad to do that.
You got to realize this, too, even after that happened, newsworthy. Everything was newsworthy then.
Yeah.
If that's what's going to happen, that's going to generate revenue.
Yeah, but at the same time, Bret Hart, the Harts are one of wrestling's biggest families. And they know that you're not supposed to talk about that stuff. Bret knows not to talk about that stuff behind it. This is before the whole Vince McMahon coming out and say, "I screwed Bret Hart."
Yeah.
This is all before this. This is all before this ever that we knew. This is all before we knew what was going on behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. Everything before this, everything before that, where Vince came out and started messing with the fans about it. This was all before that. So, for Bret to go on CNN and talk about it and say, "I'm pissed because I was supposed to win," they booked it to where I was going to win the title. You're basically putting the wrestling business at because this happened when people found out wrestling was fake back in the 20s. The same thing happened in Montreal. I forgot who it was, but someone did the same thing. and they exposed it, their ratings dipped.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people stopped buying tickets because they found out it was fake.
Yeah, but that
but
was in the 20s.
But you also, there's a code in wrestling. Well, back when Brett was in wrestling, that you don't talk about it. So for him to be so angry that he goes out and exposes wrestling, that even though he knows not to expose anything to do with wrestling behind the scenes.
But you got to realize this too. If you're gonna, okay, you want to talk about the code or whatever, but you got to look at it this way. You really think Vince McMahon really gives a crap about the code of wrestling? You think he really
Brett does?
Brett, does he though?
Well, more
you
so
would
than
think,
Vince.
You would assume he does, but you're telling me that if Vince McMahon told him, "Hey, just do this one last favor for me," it benefits. You got to look at it this way: it benefits Brett, it benefits Vince, it benefits WWE, regardless of how he felt about Shawn. Regardless, it's going to make WCW's ratings better. It's going to make him better. But the thing is, too, the fact of the matter is, as well, is he could go on CNN and talk all the wrestling businesses. He told everybody what everybody already knew.
Nobody knew.
You sure?
A lot more people didn't know than know at the time.
Okay. But what does it do? All it does is keep. Oh, I was booked to win this, but he did this. All it is generating more buzz. It's making it look like Vince McMahon. Every time he said, people are gonna go to WWE just to see that guy. I hope he gets his ass. Like you said,
you're saying that Vince McMahon doesn't care about keeping kayfabe when he buried Triple H after the hug.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, for Kevin Nash and.
There were repercussions for that. There was repercussion because but he couldn't fire Nash and Hall. He couldn't punish the champion, who was Shawn Michaels at the time. So who got punished?
Triple H.
Triple H. He got mad. They got mad over that. So you're saying that
because it was unplanned. If you let Vince McMahon plan something like that where it's going to generate, because at the end of the day, Vince McMahon all cares about money, regardless of what happens. I'm pretty sure he slipped a little bit of money to Brett. I'm sure he slipped a little money to Shawn. Hey, it only stays between us three. And I guarantee you, it probably happened like that. I mean, whatever you want to, because what
about Jim? Jim said he was the one that came up with it.
Yeah, he's the one who came up with the idea.
You think he's lying?
No, I don't think he's lying at all. But you really think that Vince McMahon's going to tell everybody everything? I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, you can't. I mean, come on, man. The guy's got hush money for days.
Yeah, but at the same time, you have to think about it that if you expose the wrestling business, this is in the 90s. I'm not talking about now because everybody knows ratings are dropping because everybody knows it's fake. Fixed, not fake. It's not fake. Fixed.
Yeah.
People know, and so people are less likely to tune in. You think Vince would risk his company for one night?
But you got to look at it this way: his company was already if you ask WCW back then, what do you think of WWE? They're going out of business. I mean, what did he have to lose? You know what I mean? So regardless of him exposing the business or not, Vince McMahon was back against the wall. When your back's against the wall, you're going to make some pretty questionable decisions.
Well, Vince McMahon ruined wrestling then, if that's the case.
I mean, he ruined wrestling. I mean, like you said, you wish they go back to the territory days. And according to your words,
something like that. It doesn't have to be the territories, but keep the door open. If WWE has a wrestler that AEW wants to use for one night, say Roman Reigns versus CM Punk, would that not sell? Would that not draw money?
Oh, of course it would.
So something like that. It doesn't have to be all these territories, but have the door open to have matches. It would generate a lot more money than just AEW versus AEW, because you're like, no, AEW is better than WWE. No, WWE is better than AEW. Would that not sell tickets?
Yeah, no, it's sell tickets, but we're not. We're past that now. It's more.
It
This
can
is
go
my
back. We can
company.
go. We can go back.
Yeah. So
But
the
you got
forbidden
to
door, as we're
you.
saying.
Yeah, I mean, and we did it with New Japan, but on a larger scale because WWE used to go to New Japan or All Japan
Oh yeah,
Wrestling, and
yeah, I remember.
it would sell money. Like, dude, think with your head. If you want to generate more money, start opening the door.
Yep.
Because people are going to be like, no, this is my company. It's already all over Twitter and all
Mm-hmm.
over social media. Oh, I'm anti WWE because I love AEW. I'm anti AEW because I'm WWE. They talk crap on there. If you opened it up, dude, what would happen? People would lose their minds over it.
Yeah, but another thing is too, you got to look at it this way in a more business perspective. Say if a sponsor or several WWE sponsors are like, I don't want to share that revenue with this company, or I don't like the way they do it, or associate, we don't want to associate it with our
Mm-hmm.
company. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just stuff like that. But yeah, I truly believe that the Montreal Screw job was 100% work. There's obviously it could go either way. I mean, there's a lot of during that time, Vince McMahon, WWE were going under. They didn't really have enough buzz. Once that happened, Shawn Michaels, there's heat, then there's Montreal heat, and Shawn Michaels. It made Shawn Michaels a bigger star. It made Bret Hart a bigger star. Obviously, WCW was mishandled him. It is what it is. That's not Vince's fault, but I do believe that it benefited them both. And if it isn't a work, then I mean it makes sense. But if it is a work, we need to shine Vince in a larger light and how wrestling genius he is.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, I agree.
mhm,
But to me, it's still a shoot. It's always gonna be a shoot, unless
mhm,
one of them comes out and says no, it was a work.
yeah,
I still think that exposing the wrestling business is a bad thing.
yeah, I
Call me a cult member, but I think that it's a shoot and you don't mess with wrestling because I
oh
am a
yeah,
fan of it. And now that I'm like, oh, I know what's going on, and it kind of takes away from it. Like, it's not like when you're a kid and you watch it and you're like, I watch my 8-year-old nephew and he's watching it and he really thinks that they're bad guys and good guys, and he's
yeah,
like, so like, it takes away the fun of it. But I
yeah,
still love wrestling. I love wrestling a lot, and right now this whole CM Punk debacle, this whole thing, is bringing back kind of like what's going on. It's interesting again.
yeah. No, I get it. So, anything you want to end on, boy?
Um, well, we do have an episode coming up Tuesday. I'm actually, yeah, Tuesday we'll have a special guest. We have we're probably gonna be talking a lot about ECW because the guy we have on is a huge ECW fan. So tune in for that. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, dislike if you want. I don't care.
Yeah.
I
But
don't care.
anybody who does watch, we appreciate you taking the time to spend with us. Me and my brother, we love wrestling since we were kids. So and letting you take a little piece of us home with you, So we appreciate that. Obviously, we love you guys and peace and love.
Rock on.